top 10 most awaited upcoming movies.
Number 10. Kong Skull Island. Release date, 10th March. Set up in the backdrop of the 1970s rather than the 1930s era of previous King Kong movies, Kong Skull Island is brand new take on the origins of the giant, catastrophic and intimidating ape. A group of discoverers and military personnel head over to an isolated island in search of stranded survivor while also trying to find an all-curing serum. During this search, they run into clues and signs of the hideout of King Kong, and the troubles of their adventure follow them throughout. Number 9. T2 Trainspotting. Release date, 10 February. 21 years on after the first movie, T2 returns to follow the drug-filled, quirky and amateurish adventures of the four Scottish friends, Spud, Sick Boy, Biggie, and Renton. The first movie owed a lot to the popularity of actors like Ewan McGregor and Johnny Lee Miller, while the world was introduced to the unconventional but much-loved direction and storytelling prowess of Danny Boyle. Number 8. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume. Release date, 5th May. If 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy and the newly released trailer is to suggest anything, it is that the second installment is set to be another entertainer. With a lot of the cast returning with their immaculate humor, the film is all set to provide a similar yet a more developed storytelling experience, with a face-up with Thanos to be finally expected. Number 7. Spider-Man Homecoming. Release date, 7th July. Anyone who had any doubts and misconceptions of a very young Tom Holland being cast as the much-loved web-slinging superhero Spider-Man, is no more in doubt after seeing his performance in 2016's Captain America: Civil War. Now at the helm of Marvel rather than Sony, Spider-Man: Homecoming is looking to go back and refresh the origins of the nerdy schoolboy Peter Parker. Number 6. Wonder Woman. Release date, 2nd June. Since Linda Carter's first portrayal of the most famous female superhero in the genre of heroes mostly dominated by men, Wonder Woman's recent portrayal by Gal Gadot has provided a flurry of excitement among DC fans. This film goes back to the comic book roots of the character that originated during World War I and her advent of her superhero motives. Number 5. Star Wars Episode 8. Release date, 15th December. The excitement surrounding a Star Wars franchise movie is like no other. Last year's Episode 7, The Force Awakens, took the entertainment world by storm as it racked up the quickest views to 1 million on YouTube. It carried on from George Lucas' legendary 1980s trilogy, with the cast of Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill, along with a new young ensemble as well. Anyone who watched the last movie knows how the last movie's cliffhanger left them wanting more, hence this is an essential movie to pencil in your movie calendar. Number 4. The Dark Tower. Release date, 17th February. This movie may not be the most popular movie on the list, but if Stephen King novels and books are anything to go by, then you are in for some ride. The Dark Tower promises to be an inept adaptation to Stephen King's famous novel. It would be done by the immaculate direction of Ron Howard, in which a gunslinger Roland Deschain roams around in an old western landscape in search of the Dark Tower in hopes that reaching it will preserve his dying world. Number 3. Logan. Release date, 3rd March. 17 years after a relative newbie and a young Australian Hugh Jackman was introduced as the Wolverine in the very first big-picture adaptation of the X-Men, Hugh Jackman will don the adamantium claws for the last time in the movie Logan. The actor is stepping away from the franchise for good. Following relative insteps from the Oldman Logan comic storyline, the movie follows an old and weakened Wolverine in the recent future, where almost all the mutants are wiped off by the Essex Corps, along with a dying Professor Xavier's struggle to survive in the hostile environment. Number 2. Justice League. Release date, 17th November. This year's Batman vs Superman was undoubtedly one of the movies that fans had waited generations for. From young fans to old, this was the one to savor, the one that had the incentive over the Marvel's cinematic universe. But what we got in the end was a complete and utter mess of a movie. While the superheroes and their performances and portrayals weren't bad, the movie as a whole was a complete disappointment. Even though the disappointment of the hugely popular movie concept was a big blow to DC, it gave birth to the already decided concept of forming the Justice League, something that was never seen on the big screen. Number 1. Dunkirk. Release date: 21st July. You know you're going to get a brilliant watch when you find out Christopher Nolan is at the helm. With his last movie Interstellar being a relatively less critically lauded movie as his previous projects, Christopher Nolan picks up the camera again in 2017 for the World War II adaptation movie Dunkirk.